Hello, leader. Welcome back to the Fierce Factor podcast. It's Kaylee here. And this week I am sharing a bonus replay with you to stimulate some thought work around, the bigger picture. While I originally published this episode back in 2022, this conversation, it's more relevant than ever. This year, I've interacted with more business owners experiencing burnout, exhaustion, and a flat out lack of love for their business than I have in my past 8 years of coaching business leaders. And here's what I think the problem is. We are obsessed with benchmarking ourselves against others, beating averages, and growing inside of some elusive framework for success that I think we've forgotten what inner peace feels like, honestly. Just open up Instagram. You don't need to scroll up more than one little finger swipe to see someone else bragging about their accomplishments, how successful they are, how happy they are. I'm sure getting external validation for this feels good and it strokes the ego for a short period of time. But the truth is, external validation is fleeting. And so then what do? You have to go back for more of it. Continue to go, 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 go. So I have a question for you. Are you stroking your own ego? Meaning, are you engaging in activities every day that truly fulfill you? Or are you waiting for that to come later or someday? I posted an Instagram post a few weeks ago that referenced a study published by a palliative nurse who had canceled the dying in their last days. And she revealed the most common regrets humans have at the end of their lives. Ironically, among the top is, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Others included, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends, and I wish that I had let myself be happier. Are we so focused on building our friends and influence on social media that we're pulling further and further away from building genuine connections that create impact? I really do wonder. Listen, I'm all for working hard and making a ton of money and impact, but who are we doing it for? Do you look in the mirror and feel genuinely proud of who you've become? Are you moving in the right direction to be able to look back at the end of the day and say, I did that? In advance of this week's alt experience, I wanted to republish this week's episode to share my thoughts on success versus fulfillment and to reinforce the importance of building authentic relationships with people who uplift and empower you to define success on your own terms. In a perfect world, you get to be your own source of validation. And ultimately, your version of success will be the only one that matters. Okay, please enjoy this bonus replay of success versus fulfillment. Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Today, we're going to talk about success versus fulfillment and really answer the question, can we achieve both? And if we can, what does that look like? This week's thoughts were really inspired by a podcast I recently listened to that really made me stop and think about success and what that word means to me and what it really means to our clients at KLC. Because here's the thing, we're always talking about success, right? How to achieve it, how to get more of it, where to find it. Digital marketing platforms have 100% shaped culture around this substructure of growth or achievement. After all, who doesn't want to be successful? I was recently scrolling through some direct messages that were sitting in my LinkedIn mailbox. I keep my notifications on silent, so by the time I go in there, usually every other day, I've got a lineup of messages or connection requests. And it was really interesting. This time, I would say about 90% of the messages contained one of two things. Either A, an introductory note about how incredible someone was and why I should work with them because of their awesomeness, or a statement claiming how someone can help me double my business revenue with their magic system or technology. And so, of course, I'm a busy person. I've deleted about 22 of the 25 messages. And I just found myself sitting there feeling so frustrated that I even have to waste my time sifting through such ineffective sales pitches. And I don't know if it's me coming from a sales background and just feeling sorry for these people, but it's just really mind-blowing how terrible people are at relationship building. It's just so inauthentic to me. And in reference to this online world, I honestly feel like maybe 1% of the population actually values human connection or even comes off that way. And just a PSA, by the way, if you're attempting to catch a busy person's attention, please think through how you can bring value to them. No one cares about how awesome you are. They care about how your solution can solve an actual problem they have. And P.S., claiming to double someone's revenue without knowing how much revenue they generate or what kind of capacity their business has to sustain doubled revenue is like a 100% deletable claim for anyone who knows their business. So don't use that one, all right? In fact, how can you even help someone with their goals if you don't truly understand what their goals are? And so as I'm sitting there hitting delete and going through this process and feeling frustrated, I started thinking about just how messed up online marketing and sales has become. Everyone is scraping and clawing their way to success, yet success in itself is just so elusive. It can even be elusive for someone who wholeheartedly knows what success looks like for them. A Pop Aesthetic Leadership Academy member of ours recently shared a story about having a call with a colleague who was starting a training program for injectors. And my client explained how, as she was having this conversation, she started to question her own progress, thinking to herself, shouldn't I have a training academy? Shouldn't I be doing more? Why am I not doing that? And then she sort of had a chuckle and she had to remember that her goal was to spend more time with friends, work less, and make more money not doing more. But it's so interesting that we just have this urge to keep going, to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. And so it's very tempting to go to a conference and see all the shiny things we don't have and instantly forget what we do and what we are building for ourselves in our legacy. And so it was really interesting that on the heels of doing this thought work, and by the way, as I say, the thought work I'm doing, this is me thinking through this whole idea and concept of success. I was listening to this podcast with Tony Robbins, as I mentioned in the intro of this podcast, and he was describing just this level of enviable financial success that so many of his clients and mentors had achieved. We're talking about billions later, private jets, multi-million-dollar vacation homes around the globe, fame, celebrity, you name it. Yet so many of them were coming to him because even in the midst of all of this success, they still felt unfulfilled. They felt like they had achieved so much, but were still searching for the actual thing that would bring them happiness. So as I was listening to this podcast after deleting 22 LinkedIn messages that promised to bring me the golden ticket to success, I began to think about this idea of success versus fulfillment. And so I busted out my trusty journal and I wrote down what each of these terms meant for me. And so here's what I wrote. Success is achievement of a tangible goal, and it's usually determined by an abstract benchmark, most often in comparison to an external influence. Whereas fulfillment, on the other hand, is a deeply meaningful sense of joy and peace that is unflappable to outside influences. Fulfillment is synonymous with a mindset of sufficiency. So what I came up with is that essentially you can achieve success without fulfillment. So you can become successful without feeling fulfilled by that success, but you cannot achieve fulfillment without claiming success. How powerful is that? So basically, if you're fulfilled, you are successful. So that really spoke to me and made it very easy for me to answer this question that success for me is fulfillment. And many people will say that success is really getting what you want. Like, I want that thing. I want to achieve that. I want to hit that goal, that metric. Whereas fulfillment is living what you are made for. When I think about that, I sincerely believe that it's really in the challenges, in the struggle, in the heat of battle that fulfillment is found, because that is where growth happens. And growth brings a deeper sense of appreciation and accomplishment than just getting what we want. Growth is the breeding ground for fulfillment. I remember when I bought my first car, and I felt so proud that I had worked hard to save money and earn that car. And I treated it with so much respect. And it was so rewarding for me to be able to drive that. It was a beautiful car, but to drive that around, whereas I had friends who had been gifted cars and they didn't have that same sense of accomplishment, that same sense of, I worked for that, I earned that, I struggled to achieve that, I felt pain. And now I can wear that as a badge of honor. I can really appreciate that and feel accomplished and feel fulfillment by that. Hey, I have a quick announcement, Goddess. I am thrilled to introduce a game changer in the world of female entrepreneurship. Introducing the Alt Experience. This May 17th and 18th in Newport Beach, California, we're setting the stage for something extraordinary. Imagine a gathering where female entrepreneurs share, learn, and connect like never before. The Alt Experience is that rare event where actionable strategies, meaningful connections, and transformational growth come together under one roof. The Alt Experience is all about learning the stories of adversity from thought leaders, sharing this seemingly uncharted and often lonely journey of entrepreneurship. It's the event you've always wished for, designed exclusively for women like you, ready to elevate your business and shatter those glass ceilings. For 2 days, immerse yourself in workshops, mastermind sessions, and talks from industry leaders who are eager to share their journeys and insights. This is where visionary thinking meets actionable advice, all set against the backdrop of the stunning Lido House Hotel in Newport Beach. Spaces are limited, so learn more and snag your spot today at klcconsultants.com/alt. Let's make history together. See you there. Think about this. If you experience something really amazing, right? You've gone through this growth. You have achieved something that you have worked hard for. What is the first thing you want to do? You want to go and share that with others. You want to go and spread the word and yell it from the rooftops. When you grow and you keep growth to yourself, you limit yourself and you actually limit your own happiness because you're not sharing that. Whereas sharing your growth with others multiplies the impact you can make in the world and thereby creates a deeply fulfilling sense of joy and camaraderie. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about the whole idea of growth and how growth is the breeding ground for fulfillment. And growth is what stimulates our energy and ambition to share with other people. And studies show that human beings who live happier, healthier, and longer are really focused on community. They value relationships. They are centered in purpose. In fact, key findings from the GRANT study, which is a 75-year long Harvard research project on human development, the study said that the single most important aspect of happiness is positive relationships. So while the research tells us that authentically forged relationships are the key to happiness, then why are humans so focused on extraction today? We tend to immediately show up with a shield, assuming others are either taking advantage of us or we're thinking, what can I get out of this relationship? What's in it for me? We're so focused on building our friends and influence on social media that we're essentially pulling further and further away from building genuine connections that create impact. I think about our academy. A room full of women who are in valued relationships with each other, exchanging feedback, advice, encouragement, resources, and empowerment to take massive action. So here we are, leader. It's the beginning of February 2022, and here you are listening to this podcast. And I want to talk to you about something. I want to ask you a question. What are you doing? How are you intentionally putting yourself in a space
to build these types of relationships that create breakthroughs and light bulb moments through experience sharing, through powerful exchange of growth and best practices. For me, as I'm thinking about success, I really believe that what has evolved as an important practice for business leaders is the ability to understand the distinction and the power of getting coaching and mentorship, but also learning how others are achieving actual success by applying their own strategies. Are you in the right room with the right people? Or are you still sitting on the sidelines waiting for things to change? Having friendships is one thing, but if you are building a real company, you are dealing with different problems at different levels than many of your colleagues who don't have the same responsibilities and decisions to make on a daily basis that you do as a business owner, as a mother, as a thought leader, as a $1 million CEO. Someone recently reached out to me saying, "Hey, I've been thinking about you for 6 months and I'm finally at a breaking point. I know you've been in my shoes and I need your advice." And I was able to provide my experience. Listen, it's not always about telling someone what to do, but instead helping them learn from your mistakes, take insights, and make decisions that take ovaries. Being in a room with powerhouse business leaders is the difference between something else on your calendar and something that will change your life. Our industry is overflowing and oversaturated with cookie cutter advice. If you're looking for a 10-step how-to plan, maybe there's another program that's a better fit for you. But if you have been listening to this podcast for a while, consuming my content, attending my masterclasses, you are looking to become that leader that is capable of building a team and a business that honors you as a woman and as a leader and as a visionary that you are, this is the place you need to be. But you have to make one empowered decision that will become the final domino that knocks down all of the rest. The domino that creates momentum for you, but you have to make one empowered decision that will create this momentum for you, that will set your business on a trajectory for epic freedom that you have only dreamed of up to this point. What are you waiting for? Listen, leader, if you're vibing with me here, hang tight because I have a brand new resource for you. You are a successful, confident, powerful woman who just isn't into being average. No, you have a calling, and part of that calling is requiring you to level up. And I know that if you're working across the next $1 million milestone in your business, you need to be in the right circles. And perhaps that's why you found us. I'd love to invite you to join The Blueprint, a weekly resource for inspired, provocative thinkers who are taking this conversation to the next level. Get access to free business tools, podcast supplements, guideposts, and direct communication with me and my expert team. And of course, a masterfully curated circle of women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetics and wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to klcconsultants.com/blueprint. It's time to elevate. See you there, goddess.